Welcome to the Black Business Podcast, where we help Black entrepreneurs, Black business owners, and Black consumers connect their Black dollars. Now, here's your host, Jenny Jones.
Hello, it's great to be with you today. I am Jenny Jones, your host for the Black Business Podcast. And joining me today is Anita R. Johnson from Sacramento, California. Today's show is brought to you by the $5marketinggarage.com, where all of your online digital marketing needs are met inside the garage. I am super excited to be with you today with our guest. I'm glad she even found time in her busy schedule to even join us today here on the Black Business Podcast, where we connect entrepreneurs, small businesses, and consumers with their Black dollars. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you all Anita R. Johnson. Welcome to the show, Anita.
Thank you for having me.
Great, and I'm glad you found some time to join us here today. So I want to go ahead and get right into it and get started. And I took a look at your website, and it looks like you're doing a lot of things. I've known you for some time, and every time I meet you, you're evolving, right? You started here, and you're like, you got a lot of things going, and I know most of it is focused around women. So as I start with everyone else traditionally on this show, I always start with my elevator pitch. So again, we're going on we're on a building that's going 47 floors, and we both get on the elevator and the lobby, and we both meet in the elevator, and says, "Hey, Anita, so tell me what you do."
Well, thank you for asking me. Thank you for allowing me this time on your show. So I'm Anita Johnson. I'm a financial behaviorist. And what I do, basically, the basic term is I help people understand why they do what they do with their money. A lot of people have unhealthy financial behaviors, and they can't seem to reach their financial goals, whatever that might mean for them. So they have unhealthy habits. And so now what they want is they're tired of going around in the circle from hand to mouth. And so they want to know why, and they want to stop the circle. So I help them understand their unhealthy habits and create healthy habits so that they can reach their financial goals.
Wow. So that sounds pretty exciting. So, it's funny because every time I talk to you, you says, "Wow, I'm finding out this and I'm finding out more." And I knew you were, in school, and I knew you were working on obtaining your doctorate in this area of finance. You're really deep. And so tell me a little bit more about the experience and the journey, because I know once you started discovering, I remember early on when we first met, then you started getting into more. It's just, whoa, there's a bigger issue here. So tell me, how did that even evolve?
Well, that's a really good question, because sometimes I don't understand myself how I got here.
I don't understand how I got here, but I'm here now.
Yeah, but I'm here now. So when you and I met, I was actually had my own tax practice. I was purchasing another tax practice.
Okay.
And then I was a manager at Liberty Tax practice.
Okay.
And so I was all over the place with taxes.
Right.
And then I decided to go get my master's in taxes because I thought that I would be a tax attorney.
Okay.
And so once I finished my master's in taxation, then I was like, okay, on to law school.
Oh, wow.
But then I found out in law school that that you had to actually complete all the law. I thought, okay, I'm just going to go focus on being a tax attorney. Well, that's not the way that happened.
Wow.
That's not the way.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
So hopefully some of you young entrepreneurs, out there picking up on this, kind of know your path when you go into it. She was passionate about it, but she's like, whoa, wait a minute. Once she got to that mark, there's like, oh no, you have to do all of this. So go ahead and continue. This is good. This is helping out the young people too.
Yeah.
So the young entrepreneurs. So go ahead. Go ahead and finish. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
That would have been super
I didn't mind
powerful,
going
though.
to law school. Law school wasn't the problem or the challenge. It was the challenge of going to work for a law firm and then
Oh.
choosing and then allowing them to let me do the tax attorney part, right? Because you just get a
Oh.
law degree, according to what was told to me. You get the law degree, and
Right.
then you have to practice in the areas that and work for
Oh.
somebody to practice in those
So
areas.
you got to get, it's almost like you got to get some field time in. You
Yeah,
got to,
exactly. And I wasn't
oh,
trying
okay.
to, yeah, no 100 hours for somebody else when I'm already doing it for myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would ask you, what did you learn from that? But sounds we're not going to spend any time on that. Maybe another podcast will come in. So, what did you
Yeah,
learn
exactly. So yeah, that was
from?
an experience in itself.
Yeah. Uh
Yeah,
huh.
but in the meantime, I was still, preparing taxes, and there were a bunch of ladies that were coming in, and then I had a couple of referrals from people with women, and they, and two cases, these two cases really set me on the path to
Okay.
thinking about this. When one woman who was in her 40s at the time, her husband had died, and I was like, okay,
Hmm.
I prepare the death tax. And I said to her, bring me X, Y, and Z. And she was like, what does that look like? She didn't know what the
Wow.
W-2 looked like. She didn't know what the
Wow.
tax return looked like because her husband had done everything. And she just
Wow.
like, okay, I don't have anything to do with that.
So let me pause you really
Uh-huh.
quick on that moment, and I appreciate you even being vulnerable and kind of bringing that up. And I noticed in my practice early on, um, when I discovered that most women knew zero about the finances because it depended on their spouses, their husbands to take care of that for them.
Hmm.
So they wake up one day and the husband is he doesn't wake up, right? Or the next day he's gone. It's
Right.
almost like they have to learn a whole new language all over again. It's never been taught
Exactly.
to them. And you and I both know. I mean, you get to a certain age, you like your learning is like, you and you're younger, you learn a lot more. So that's very interesting because I do have a lot of women clients and I do notice that a lot of things that they've never seen before. And I think I commend you for saying, hey, let me take these women on because it seems like, they, and here's what also, and I'll let you finish up on that is what I also discovered is the men will more than likely, I don't know this statistically, but it's almost like the men will pass before the women. In most instances, that's what I ran into.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
There are some, I mean, in today's society,
Right.
there are some men who really want their wives or
Right.
girlfriends or whatever to know about finances because 9 times out of 10 the woman lives on an average of at least 10 to 15 years longer than her spouse,
That's true. That's true.
right?
Statistically,
And so
yeah,
she
that's true.
needs to know about these things.
Right.
And so here was a woman who was in her 40s, and her
Mm,
husband wasn't that older than she was, and then he dies,
right.
and then she doesn't know. And so
Right.
now she, like you said, she's learning a whole new language about money. And the other lady was an older lady at the time. She
Right.
was actually had been married 50 years or 55 years or something to that effect, and her
Right.
husband wanted a divorce.
Another case. But go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Those two cases. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I got two extremes. I got the
Right.
younger woman, husband dies, and then I have the older woman who husband divorces her
Wow.
after having. I mean, they had so many kids, so many grandkids, so many great grandkids, and
Right.
he wanted a divorce. Well, she had been a housewife all her life, and
Wow.
so and so he gives her a check for 50 grand,
Right.
a 50K check after 50 years or more of marriage.
She earned a grand a year. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
So what I'm understanding, he's like, well, let me start this practice into helping women understand money better, or at least become familiar with it. Is that
Well,
the
it was kind of like that. Then I started looking at my own behaviors, as
right?
well as my mother's behaviors, as well
Got
as
it.
all the other people, other women that were around me,
Right.
behaviors. And I said, hmm. And what really happened was then I started comparing cultures,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
started comparing Caucasian culture women with
Right.
Black women. And
Right.
that's when, so my dissertation was, why is that basically that, what's the difference between between Caucasian women and black women when it comes to retirement? How come white women retire black women retire at a rate of poverty lower than white women? But when I really started getting into it and into all the things I had to research and stuff, I found that there was behaviors as opposed to just
Oh.
we don't save or we don't have a great job or whatever
Right.
that might be, or there's no retirement at a job where we are and things like that.
Right.
So I started getting into the behaviors, and then and then and then there's and I can tell you, your listeners are a little secret, is
Uh-oh.
that in one of
Listen
the
in.
in my
Secrets.
book that I'm going to be writing, not the next one, but the grand book.
Because you have a couple of books out now, though,
I got
right?
a grand book that's coming.
Oh, you got a grand book. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
right.
are you on Amazon any at all now, or?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I have tons of books on Amazon, but the one that I really want to write about is really about African American women and all the things that we have to go through psychologically,
Right.
that affects our behaviors that can affect our money.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on this
So
grant, I mean, can I get a full word or something, or no? No, it's funny because the reason why I said it,
well, it's
I've been in
about
this. Yeah.
it's called the $5 net worth myth,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And so the African American woman, her
Uh-huh.
net worth is $5 or less, right?
Wow.
Yeah, $5 or less.
Okay.
And so, and hey, it's up from $1.
Okay.
Up from
So
a
y'all
dollar.
y'all need y'all need to look for it because it's going to be by Dr. Anita R. Johnson, and you guys will be able to connect with her on our Shop Black
Yeah,
Business.
exactly.
So she'll be in our store, which is our pretty much our mall for all speakers that do come on the show. We do have them come on Shop Black Business podcast. We do have a store or a mall
Hmm.
that you'll be able to find her and locate her and get her information, her contact information. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I'll
Right.
just let you know, her books and all of those types of things, links from there, we're going to be able to put those up there as well. Some of her links from her
Well,
Amazon and stuff. We got to support our Black people. We're trying to spend our Black dollars. That was
hmm
the reason why I put this podcast together, to have a face-to-face conversation with some of our Black businesses that are out here trying to do it right. And I appreciate what you're doing, Anita. And now, so when I started thinking about what you're doing, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
hmm
You know,
You know,
I
you have people that come to you and you say, hey, do X, Y, Z. This will get you your retirement. This, blah, blah, blah. But then they walk away and they be like, I don't have, or I don't do it. So what's the behavior behind why they don't do it? That is, and so I go into the whole DNA, the financial
right,
DNA tree and all that kind of stuff. And
right.
when we
Now,
learn,
is it
when we
now?
don't learn about money. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: is it a learned behavior? Because like in the older days, like Mama stayed home and Daddy went out and hustled and grind whatever he needed to do to bring the money back, and a lot of times Daddy just brought it back and just Mama just put it where it needed to go, or here's what you do with this, Mama, whatever. But so it was two different types. I've seen two types model where
Right.
Daddy just went and got it, and then a lot of times Daddy didn't finish high school or whatever, so he really couldn't count or what have you. And then Mama put the beans together. Hey, I know we need to eat for the next. Is that making sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I think what happens is that, yeah, we do, like my parents worked. My parents
right,
were educators,
right,
right?
okay,
And then they had their side jobs, right?
right. They had
And
side
this is
jobs
a
back then.
conversation, yeah, this is a conversation that my brother and I my brother and I had, right?
Uh
My
huh.
brother and I said, well, we all making it, but ain't nobody leaving no legacy. You know,
Right,
we all,
right,
we working, but we're not
right.
leaving a legacy because my parents didn't talk to me about my dad. My dad did some marvelous things with me. He made me, I taught how to count money. So
Right.
all my money goes in one direction, that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Right. Right.
Like when people hand me, such and such and such. He told me when I got ready to go to college, he's like, "What do you want to be?" And he's like, "Well, if you can't count your money, you can't do nothing." He would say
Mm,
stuff like that, but I did not know how much my parents earned. And if something
right.
had happened to my parents when as a young woman, a teenager or something, I wouldn't have known how to handle any of those type of things. So I tell people now to teach your teenagers, whatever the age they may be, because in case something happens and they have to run the household,
Right.
you they'll be lost.
That's a good word. That's definitely that's
Yeah,
what I do with my kids, and
yeah.
they know. So listen. So I was on your website, and I think you have like maybe like 3 packages, initial packages, or so.
Hmm.
Tell me a little bit about how each package comes together. Like, so right now, if a listener or a viewer on YouTube or if they called you and said, "Hey,
Hmm.
listen, I'm interested a little bit more." And so you have like a starter package and then a
Yeah, I
so
do.
tell me a little bit about each package so that way
Sure.
I can figure out where some of our guests can kind of fit in. So tell me how
Right.
that works out.
So I
Mhm.
have the first package is more of a meet and greet. It's a 45-minute conversation
Right,
with somebody that is actually thinking about being with me, hanging
okay,
out with me, right?
right,
And so
right,
that's usually a 45-minute conversation where and then there should be a form that you fill out that
right,
says, hey, it says the form basically says, have you ever worked with a financial behaviorist before? Do you know what a financial behaviorist is?
right.
What are your financial goals? What are your feelings towards money? Do you have anxiety?
Hmm.
All of those things. So that goes into that, and then you set that appointment,
Right.
and then we talk for 45 minutes.
Hmm.
And in the 45 minutes, depending on if you are an individual or you have a family need,
Right.
then the individual package may be good for you. So the individual package is live. It's 6 live sessions,
Okay.
and 6 live sessions. Also, you get. I have a membership package. You get 3 months inside the membership package.
I see.
You also get so you get access to the membership, which has a ton of benefits there,
Right.
right? And
Hmm.
then you also get access to a group setting where there's a question and answer session
Hmm.
with the people in the membership group,
Oh, got
right?
it. Got it.
And then
So
so
you bring people within a community of peers
yeah,
or
it's within that
like.
community,
So
right?
let
So
me ask you a
that
quick
is,
question now before we
uh-huh.
move on to the second package now. And it sparked my memory. If let's say a family comes and let's say a listener is listening and she says, I'm coming, but I know my husband is not going to come because he's one of those type where he not going to be taking no advice from no woman. Right. So surely you've never had that
Oh
happen
no,
before.
I've never had that before.
But I'm just saying, I listen. We both been in finance for some time. I mean, we have numerous amounts of clients. But so tell me, what do you do? Because now I want to know. Because there's probably a listener saying, "Man, I would come, but Ray not gonna come with me." You know what I'm saying? He not.
Say, right, right.
Hey, this is a black
Well,
podcast, right? So we use black
I mean,
names, right?
although because I've had couples
Okay.
and the men have come,
Right. Right.
kicking and screaming, but
Normally.
yeah, normally they come kicking and screaming.
Right.
But
Right.
what I do in these sessions is there are ground rules.
Okay.
Yeah, there are ground rules, and I don't favor one over the other.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Yeah, there are
That's
ground
fair.
rules. The ground rules are we don't talk over each other. We
Okay.
allow the one person to have their moment, whatever
Right.
that moment might be,
Uh-huh.
and then and I think my wealth of experience in with men and me having tons of guy friends that I
Right.
could talk to about behaviors of men,
Okay.
right, has allowed
Okay.
me to tell the woman in the relationship, this is how a man thinks, right?
Ah, right.
Right?
We oh
So
trust me.
you think differently. you know.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and being a woman, I can tell the man in the thing, this is how a woman thinks, right?
See, I didn't even have to get a
And
doctorate.
then
I
they're
saved my
like,
money on
oh
that.
my gosh, right? And
I didn't have to
so
get a
yeah,
doctorate to figure
so
that
they
one
don't,
out.
unless they go into therapy, they don't, they don't get it or they don't understand it, right?
Okay.
And so there's always a level, there's always ground rules, and there's a level of respect for both conversations, and nobody
Okay.
should be rolling their eyes when the other person is talking. And
Gotcha.
that is definitely my ground rule for that. That's definitely my ground, because and one day I'll be on him, and the next day I'll be on her about.
Right. You're trying to get balance because
Mhm.
they need it. So in order for them to move forward, they both got to recognize that, listen, there's differences. She's going to see it black. You're going to see it white. We need to we kind of blend it. It's got to work gray. Is that what you're
Right,
saying?
right,
Okay. Yeah. It's got to be some give
exactly,
and take. Man, that's kind of
right.
like it's kind of like a marriage.
Yeah.
It's, well, I mean, so now it's almost like marriage to money. It's like, and I've had discussions with my wife. Um, we talk about the behavior of her being raised in her family and how her family handled money, and then me being raised in my family, how we raise money.
Mhm.
Now we got to kind of we got to kind of we
Gotta
got to
put
take
those two together.
our
Mhm.
things and kind of work them together.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so there's some families that money have to be separated, right? You
Right.
got your bank account, I got mine, and
Hmm.
but we've always come from just biblically based. Ours is merged. It is what it is. If you got
Hmm.
$5, I got $5. So
Right.
that's another story. But that's just I'm trying to get an
And that
understanding
and
if
that
that's what you
and
do.
that's the
Yeah,
truth. That's the true thing, because you do.
yeah.
First of all, you got two different people that were raised differently, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Coming together as one. And
Yeah.
then you have the whole money issue, because I can even I use myself mostly the time when it comes to an example of being married, when my dad was still sending doing things for me at 30, right? And
Oh,
my
okay.
husband was like, well, what the heck is that about? And I was like, I don't understand what your problem is. I don't understand. So my
Right,
dad was
right.
missing something. So what? He's my daddy.
Oh my goodness. See, you got to be your own. You
But
got to
then I
have a sit down.
realized,
You got to have a sit down with
and then
yourself.
yeah, and then my dad stopped sending stuff, right? And I don't know. I was like, well, did my what happened? How come
That's
I ain't
too
get
funny.
right?
That's too
And so
funny.
my dad, so I think that's what happens, is that the man is like, and you could probably talk about this, and I've talked about this to the men that come into the counseling, is
Right.
like, they are men and they want to be able to take care of their families. That's
That's
their
true.
mindset. That's what they were taught. And that is simple as that. And your daddy sending you money is not helping the situation,
That's true. That is so
right?
true. So,
And that's what I tell to my client, my couples. And then and then the female wants to be independent, but she also wants her husband to be able to take care of
right. So this is like this delicate, but
her.
man, I think everybody need a financial behaviorist. I never really
I'm
looked at it
I'm
like that,
needed.
but you're you're like, I'm needed and I'm
That
available
I
for more
know.
appointments. So
That I
listen,
know that I'm needed. And here,
so tell us about the second. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and as we talk about this, one of the things that I'm working on is a financial mental health conference.
Oh, okay, okay,
Okay, because
okay.
I
So is that
believe
coming? Is that this year? Or are you just kind of putting together
we're
now?
just putting
Some.
it together. Yeah, three
Okay,
of us are putting it together.
okay.
And so one of the things is that um, one of the things is that I believe that the lack of, or the unfamiliarity of money, right, causes
Hmm.
mental stress, right, and mental health
Ooh,
issues.
you starting
And
to hit something
so
right there. You starting to hit some stuff right
if
there.
you can get the medical field to recognize that, then more people would be sitting in front of me, because the medical field will say, okay, we'll pay for that in your benefits package. That way you can go, not this whole thing about these spreadsheets and YouTube and QuickBooks and all, because anybody can do a spreadsheet, but can you follow the spreadsheet?
Ooh,
Is
you
your
getting
mind
deep,
ready for those kinds of things?
man. You're getting deep, man. I didn't. I feel like I'm in counseling right now. So listen, tell me about the second package. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. So the
Yeah.
second package is
Mhm.
for married couples and families, right?
Okay.
And so that is I think that package is, I think that is a 90-minute, I think it might be a little over an hour.
Okay.
Because you got the whole family thing going on here. You got the
Right.
husband,
Right.
wife, and you might even bring in the kids. So
Okay.
everybody's got to have that conversation and have a voice in that conversation and stuff.
So with
And the same
COVID-19,
thing. They get the same thing
okay.
as the individual. 6 live sessions, months in the membership, the group thing, all of that. They do that.
Okay.
And then there's homework in both those groups.
Better be homework.
Yeah, there's homework. And I'm ruthless on the homework. I mean, you got to
Oh,
do, because the thing is that you have come and you want to improve your relationship with money. And the only way to improve your mindset, is to do the homework. And
okay.
even the individual and the couples, you get this in the couples, everybody gets the same homework. They get the same homework, and then they do it individually, and then we come together and bring the paperwork together, and we look at the homework
Nice.
together.
Nice. That's one of the things I do in one of my packages. It's beyond the scope of this podcast, but I got to know how each person stand on their own,
Hmm.
and then I bring them together. So that's very interesting that we have the same dynamic. We both have this financial background, but yours is on the behavioral side, and mine is on the,
Yeah.
hey,
I mean,
I'm
I
bringing.
absolutely love this. I absolutely
Yeah,
love the
yeah.
behavior part, because, I always have, from day one that I have been in business, I've
Uh,
always prayed for discernment. And
okay.
and the discernment gives me, and I'm really blessed to have that. I don't always use it in my personal life.
That's another podcast. We ain't finna get into that right now. We ain't finna get into that. So with the COVID-19 now, how are the packages working with if you have to meet family or something like that? How's that working out?
Well, we're doing a lot of Zoom.
Okay.
So that's going on. And in
Uh,
fact, on Wednesday, if you look at my Facebook page, Anita Johnson Financial Behaviors, I have a Zoom for the public to talk about how COVID-19 is affecting you financially.
okay. That's
Okay, so
good.
so if your listeners are listening to that, I have that going on.
Okay.
Um,
We got to make sure we get that link up there. We're
okay.
gonna, and that's gonna be in the Shop Black Business shop. I gotta get it right myself. It's Shop Black Business Podcast. The Shop Black Business
That's
Podcast.com.
a mouthful to say.
It is, but I'm trying to. It evolved into that because
Uh-huh.
we started out as the Black Business Podcast. I was like, wait a minute, I need to have a compository where I can have all of my speakers come and I'll have them showcased in there, have their episodes, I have links to their episodes and stuff,
Mhm.
so a person can connect with them behaviorally, right now. But I want them to be able to connect with them first. And it says, hey, I like Anita. I think I'm going to give her a call. I'm going to click on her website, or I want to get to know her a little bit more. So I'm going to follow her first on one of her sites, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. I'm
Whatever.
going to follow her first. And then I'm going to see if she's consistent, because this is what we do in the area of social media, right? I'm going to see if she's about what she's saying, and that becomes practice. And as young business owners or entrepreneurs that are out there, this is a perfect opportunity for them to let you to know that if you're going to be a business, if you're going to be a brand, be consistent in your brand. If that's who you are, that's who you are. Don't be like this on one social network and then be ghetto and ratchet on another.
Mhm. Mhm.
Your electronic footprint, right?
Mhm.
It follows you, and whoever you are. People Google me all the time. They're like, "Hey, you're the I say, "Man, listen, I'm finance. I'm the financial evangelist. I have that trademark. That's who I am." Right? So you're going to always find elements of me around different social networks, but it's always going to be financial first, because that's who I am. That's my foundation. So for the young, I'm telling the young people. So even if you were to come on the show, and then we would have you on the show, your package need to be consistent with who you are, and we start putting your links up.
Mhm.
So Thank you for allowing me to even insert that in to your conversation. But we are going to put you in. You will be in our shopping mall. I don't even know what to call it yet. I just want people to be able to connect and spend their Black dollars. When they say, "Man, listen, I'm looking for a Black person that does financial behavior. I'm looking for a Black person that does this, or I'm looking for a Black person that does sewing and teaching my kids and all of that." I want them to be able to come to our shopping area and be able to find our guest from there. And that's really what that's about. So listen, is there anything, because we serve 3 areas of demographics here. We serve entrepreneurs. We also serve other small businesses who are trying to transition. I call them other small businesses because there are some businesses who are stuck, right? And they're trying to transition. Should I go to an e-commerce site? Should I go to an e-commerce store? Or is there any lessons you want to share with the mid-range small business, been in business, 10, 15 years, and they're stuck and they're trying to go to the next level? Or is there anything that you would like to share for our consumers when looking and searching for a financial behaviorist or something like that? So any one of those 3 areas, and we call this our "How do you win when it seems like you're losing?" We have a person that's going to come on here and share something for you that's going to help you win when it seems like you're losing. So go ahead, any one of those 3 areas.
That's a great question, because with the COVID-19, of course, I was doing some upgrading in my own business at the time before COVID-19 came around, where everything was going to be on automation, and I was headed towards that direction, right? And then COVID-19 came and I had to be pushed into that.
I think a lot of people had to be pushed,
which is in itself,
right,
something, because now all the as I'm working with my web design person, she's like, "Well, I need this form, I need that form, I need that," and I was like, "Well, I really don't have that form. It's all been
in my head."
Yeah, right. So now I have to create those things.
So you're a typical business owner. Go ahead.
Yeah. So now, you, when COVID-19 came along, I didn't be like, "Oh my God, I'm not gonna be." I thought of an opportunity. What opportunity can I now really give to people, right? And what is the opportunity here? And the opportunity was finish the automation, because that's probably my goals. Part of that was my goals anyway, so that I could basically step back from being on from setting up appointments. I mean, just to set up an appointment with somebody, right? Somebody's calling when they set up an appointment. Well, you got to go through your schedule. I got to go through mine. We got to say this day and that day. Well, the schedule is on the page now, so people could just go, and I get a text message saying, and that's just as easy. I was like, I can't believe how easy.
So there's a lot of for that business that's kind of trying to figure out, should I close my doors? So what you're saying, and I'm getting a lot of this in the hardcore entrepreneurs, or people that's in this, what I'm realizing is they like, listen, I got to find a way to find an opportunity out of this. I am not going to close my doors. I have too much invested in this. And a lot of and here's what I will say about Black people. We are some creative creatures. We are some creative creatures. Now, our execution is because we may not be exposed to a lot of different networks and things. That's what I'm trying to create with this platform. But our execution, we got to work on it. We got to get, but creativity, oh yeah, we can come up with some things. So I like this. You're saying this opportunity, this COVID-19 thing said, hey, this is an opportunity for us to be creative and go beyond our comfort zone and still be able to try to make the cash register move. Is that what you're saying?
We need systems. I needed systems. I needed systems. And so, the system was in my head, or the system was whatever. But now the system is out there for everybody to see, and they can schedule an appointment. You can schedule the meet and greet appointment. It's just like I sent a email to my tax clients this past week. Look, everything's going to be downloaded now. You don't even have to come into the office. We're going to download it, and I gave them the platform that it's going to be downloaded on. You're going to download that. I'm going to do the return. I'm going to send it back to you this way, right? And then not only did I do the email, I put a video in. Right. I put a video in explaining the email.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to
Explain
miss this
it.
opportunity for people to
Right.
know that you still do corporate taxes, right? I mean, and that
Right.
because that's a big deal. Now, those of you who are still trying to do sole proprietor or still trying to run it around, exposing yourself to all this liability, you need to get up on that LLC. And
Hmm.
there's so many more benefits. People say, well, I got to pay this amount of money. LLC, to run an LLC in California is a little expensive. I think about $800 a year, but it's so much more worth it, right? You get to write that 800 off. I mean, come on, let's
Hmm.
think about it. That's another story. So I just wanted to just put that plug in there real quick that you do corporate taxes as well.
Correct.
So you guys need to look her up, man. She's deep, man. And I like to thank her for joining us on the show. Is there any parting words from Miss Money Wisdom for Women, Anita R. Johnson, financial behaviorist, doctoral to be?
Well, the parting words is for all, whether there be female or male, child, young adult, whatever that might be, is that, something that my dad told me is that if you can't count your money, you're not gonna make it, right, in the
Okay.
world. And so that is actually what led me to be an accountant, go get my accounting degree, blah 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 blah. This whole, and at one time in my life, I decided at one time in my life I didn't want to do it, but I was so far into my degree till
Cover
I
your
was,
numbers.
I ain't gonna change it. I'm just gonna ride this out. But
I
I
hear
would
that.
say, it's like the people that I'm working on with this mental health, financial mental health conference is like, well, they wanted to name it, put your mind on your money on your mind. I'm like, no, we ain't naming it that.
Oh Lord. Come on, we trying to get some of the white dollars too now. You can, that's another podcast. I'm gonna have to talk about that a little bit.
So get
So,
your mind on your money on your mind. I can use that today.
oh, you can use that today on this platform,
On
right?
this
But
one.
because we're trying to help us, right? So no,
Right,
I
exactly.
appreciate you joining us on this podcast today. I appreciate you guys listening in. I appreciate you guys viewing in. We are trying to grow this platform. Please subscribe, share,
Hmm.
connect. We are trying to do some things. I have something that we are planning that's going to be bigger. It's going to be something you've never seen before. I can't even tell you what's going to happen. If I get excited just thinking about it, but it's going to be big, and you need to tune in so you don't want to miss it. And so I'd like to thank you again for joining us here on today's podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Jones. Peace and love. I'm out.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Black Business Podcast, where we help Black entrepreneurs, Black business owners, and Black consumers connect their Black dollars. Hosted by Jenny Jones. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. If you want to learn more about all our podcast guests and spend your Black dollars with them, visit our online store at shopblackbusinesspodcast.com.